Hello, Georgie. What a nice boat. Going in back?
Yes, please.
You look like a nice boy. I bet you have a lot of friends.
3, but my brother's my bestest.
Where's he?
In bed, sick.
I bet I could cheer him up. I'll give him a balloon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Scary Stories by the Campfire. We are your counselors tonight, Jeremy
and Jason,
and we are back in Derry, Maine, where Pennywise has been running around again.
It's been a while. Gotta get used to this feeling because it's been, what, a week?
It has.
2 weeks. Technically 2 weeks.
We had technical difficulties last week, so we unfortunately couldn't be here. So tonight we are going through chapters 1 and 2 of the remake of It. And Jason, let's start with chapter 1. Take it away.
I wouldn't really call it a remake. Probably just a different adaptation of.
It's a remake.
It's whatever. Starting with chapter 1 and kind of going into chapter 2, I kind of liked this remake, this new adaptation. It was much much creepier than the miniseries that we covered the last couple weeks. And this Pennywise is definitely, I think, in the terms of scare factor, is definitely a step above Tim Curry. Now, he's not funny. Now, there are some like really dark moments where he just has this kind of goofiness about him. Like there's like the scene where he's nomming on that kid's arm or whatever, and they kind of glance out, and he looks out and he just kind of waves at him
with the arm,
with the arm, and I kind of said, that's kind of funny. The people around me were kind of like, what is wrong with this picture? This is really disturbing. And I'm just kind of sitting there going, that's actually kind of funny. I like that. And
I thought it was funny too.
So that kind of made up for kind of the overall not funny bits. And I do want to say I do prefer the chapter 1 over chapter 2, but we'll get into that in a few.
I agree. Like, it's weird. Like, it's almost like Bill Skarsgård did play the role great. Both of them did. But it was just, like you said, that feeling of creepiness with this one was just more prevalent. But the one thing I did like about the other one before this one, the Tim Curry one, was the practical effects in the other one. And
this one definitely had a lot of CGI attached to it.
It did, and I think there was too much CGI, especially in the second chapter, which when we get to that one. But I think there was just way too much CGI comparatively to what the Tim Curry one had.
I mean, some of the CGI worked in its favor. Let's go in to start. Let's go in and start comparing the movies. All right. So let's start off with the Georgie scene. Which one did you prefer?
The which one's the Georgies?
I mean, like, which Georgie scene? Like,
the
iconic Georgie scene where he gets eaten by the creepy clown in the storm drain. Which did you prefer, and which ones were?
So, for overall scare factor, I preferred the newer one, but I actually liked the Tim Curry one a little bit more just because of the interaction with Tim Curry as Pennywise over Bill Skarsgård. I think Tim Curry had a more natural charm to it that would keep a child talking to him over the Bill Skarsgård scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, either way, a clown in a storm drain is by far something that should be addressed very quickly. But I think when I think you are correct in the fact that Tim Curry plays Pennywise in the sense that it would um, keep the child's interest because he wasn't like scary. He was like, "Hiya, Georgie," you know. And but Bill Skarsgård, he just plays it to a even a, even when he's trying to be kind of charming, he comes off creepy.
Yeah, apparently, so the teeth prosthetics that Bill had to wear as Pennywise made him drool profusely, and I guess the director liked it and it added to the ravenous nature of Pennywise, but it was the teeth that was making him do it.
I I can see that. Yeah, those prosthetic teeth he was wearing just. But overall, I think I think there's something to be gained from not showing the actual Georgie's death. And I think with the original, him just grabbing Georgie's arm and then him doing that iconic tuck his head down and then raising his head up and he's got the mouthful of teeth.
Yeah.
And then the screen just kind of goes black as Georgie's screaming. I think the idea of less is better, even though the Georgie scene in It Chapter 1 is much more terrifying. I mean, he grabs that arm and he bites into it and kind of pulls it off. And Georgie's like, he falls back and he rolls over and he starts crawling across the street, right? He's trying to crawl away.
Yeah.
And the way it's shot is that you got like a top down view and he is almost midway of the street and you can see Pennywise's arm come out of the storm drain and almost stretch and grab him by the leg and then whoosh, pull him right into the sewer. And yeah, that was a pretty kind of disturbing scene. Like I said, probably I think there's a little bit of both that they could have used. I think with the original, they could have shown a little bit more, and with the remake, they could have probably toned it down just a touch. I mean, I think it, in the sense of things, you don't really need to see Georgie's arm get ripped off. You don't really need that. You could have had him like try to grab him, bite, and then kind of pull him into the drain. But I think that's what they were going for, and that actually does make later on with the whole Bill subplot, dealing with his brother and whatnot. It does make it more relatable to the audience because you did just watch this kid just get pulled down into a storm drain.
Yeah. And, it's well then, let's move on to the next one. So this chapter compared to the first half of the Tim Curry, which did you prefer in ways of the child actors between the two? Which were better?
The child actors, I think in both movies, the miniseries and this movie, did good. I don't have any real complaints against the child actors. I do feel that some of their personas kind of shined a little bit more in the new movies. I mean, when you get down to it, when you're watching the miniseries, Bill's a standout character, right? He's kind of the focal point. It's his brother. Bev kind of shines because, well, she's the only female character in the group. Um, Ben's there, and but a lot of the characters like Stanley, he's just there. I mean, there's like there's a couple like little flashback moments for him, but he's just there. And I do like the fact that in the new movie they kind of give all the kids, and of course it's a movie. With the miniseries, you're looking at what was it like, 2.5 hours?
I think the whole movie was
Or
about
was it
two
about
and a half hours.
2.5 to 3 hours?
Yeah, and
When chapter 1 and chapter 2 are like what, almost 2 hours a piece?
chapter 2 was just shy of 3.
Was it?
It was 2 hours and 54 minutes.
Oh man. So you're getting a lot of extra playtime. Now, I think one of the complaints that we're both going to have is that part 2 was kind of long and they did drag out a lot of stuff. But over the course of both those movies, you're getting a good amount of extra time over the miniseries. The miniseries really had to kind of condense stuff. So probably a lot of the minor characters really just kind of got pushed to the side. Even Mike, who's the guy who kind of gets the group back together, as a kid, he didn't do nothing. He just shows up. He's like, "Hey guys, look, it's a clown in my picture book, and it's coming alive and whatnot." And they kind of form the group, and that's about it.
But
he doesn't.
I actually liked how Mike joined the group in the Tim Curry one compared to this one. They don't, in this one, they kind of dive into his backstory, but he's not the new kid like he was in the Tim Curry one.
Tim Curry one, he's the new kid.
He took over of the new kid over Ben, but like in this one, Ben stays the new kid the entire time.
Yeah. And
I liked how they did that in the Tim Curry one.
I'm not trying. I'm not being mean or anything like that. But Ben, at least I'm assuming according to the books, is supposed to be the big kid, because Pennywise always call him Fat Boy, and the bullies picked on him for being a fat boy, The chapter 1, the Bill Skarsgård version is he's a big boy. And I think he fits the role a little bit better than the other one. The one from the miniseries, me and you were even like, he's not that big.
Oh yeah, no, I agree, Cole. I agree with that.
He's a bit beefy. He's got, he's a little bit bigger than the other kids, but he's not a fat boy, which is just kind of weird to say. And I'm not saying that the Ben in the new movie is like a fat boy. He looks like he's a little bit bigger than what the new one is. So the characterization's a little bit better there.
All right, well, let's go into bullies.
Some of the, I don't know if I can say the worst written characters ever, but they are psychos.
And both of them.
Bullies, in both of them. And once again, their finale actually is a little bit better in the remake.
They're still lackluster though.
Yeah, I mean the ending for both of the story arcs is lackluster, but I think the one in the new one got a little bit better ending. Because here's how the bully arc works, okay? You have a bully, and he is a bully. I mean, he is literally trying to carve his name into Ben's stomach. It is, I don't know who let this kid out, but he's out there. And by the end of the first half of the miniseries, he ends up getting white hair and going crazy, and they put him in an asylum. And then
Yeah, and the Tim
in the
Curry one
sec-
looks like Billy Idol.
yeah, in the second half of it, he's in the asylum. He breaks out because of Pennywise's face in the moon, and which is very kind of humorous in itself. And he breaks out. He attacks the group at their hotel or whatever. And as he's attacking Mike, he accidentally gets stabbed and dies.
Yeah, but he still stabs Mike.
Yeah, he stabs Mike, but then they have like a little tussle and he stabs himself, and that's it. That's his role. That was it. He put Mike in a hospital.
All right, well, in the remake, he gets in a fight with Eddie, stabs
Yeah,
Eddie through the cheek,
in the cheek,
and then Eddie pulls the knife out and stabs him through the shower curtain.
Yeah,
and kills him.
No, because he attacked Mike afterwards. He came back and attacked.
Oh, he
Mike.
did.
He came back and attacked Mike. Couldn't kill or do anything to Mike. I think he would cut his arm or something, and then same thing. No, Richie. Was it Richie who stabbed him in the
Richie
head?
stabbed him in the back.
Was it the back? I thought it was the head. Like
I think he stabbed him like in the back.
well, Richie gets the kill off of that one, and that's the end of it. So still kind of a letdown, but at least he had a little bit more as.
All right.
As
So we've established kids, bullies, adult actors.
adult actors.
Which one's better? I'll start. I'm going to say it's 50-50.
All right.
Because I like Richie in both movies. I think for the time that they were going for and the actors and the way that they were set up, I think both Bill Hader in the new one does a fantastic job as Richie. He's got a lot of quirky one-liners that kind of make you laugh. But it's good for that type that they're going for. While the Richie in the other one is good for when it was made.
Yeah.
I think the actor choice for both of those were really good. I actually like adult Bill in the new one. The Tim Curry one, more than I like the older Bill in the new one. I like Eddie in the new one over the old one. And Mike, I like both. And Ben, I like both. I like new Bev over old Bev. It's weird, but like I like the way it's set up.
No, that makes sense. I'm gonna say that I actually do like the new cast better. Not like a hands down wash. They're clear cut winners. I'm just the way they were done in the movie. It gives them more time. Because.
But
the
again,
problem,
like we talked about with the kids earlier, is that because it's a movie and the other was a miniseries?
that's exactly it. I mean, okay, let's talk about the two big things, Jeremy. Let's talk about the two big things. Stanley's death and Eddie's death.
Okay.
Okay. Which ones had more impact?
Stan's death had the same impact in both movies. Except Stan's kind of, in the newer one, kind of went up a little bit more just because of the ending. The whole letter thing.
Yeah.
Eddie's death in the newer one definitely takes the cake over the old one. But I also like the actor in the new one over the old one anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, I said, I think the problem with the miniseries is it just doesn't have time. It condenses everything, and it kind of they're adults. Mike is calling everyone back. Right? They beat Pennywise for the first time as kids. They all move away except for Mike. They all lose their memories or whatever of living in Derry or something. And Mike calls them all back. Pennywise is back. We need you guys back. Stanley decides that he would rather commit suicide and not go back. And in the miniseries, he literally gets the call. He's like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's sitting there, he's talking with his wife, he's having a good time. Everything's great. He gets the phone call. He's like, oh, I'm going to go up there and take a shower or whatnot. And then he walks up into the bathroom, runs the water hot, and slices his wrists.
He does the exact same thing in the new one. You don't know about the letter stuff until the end.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You know, they did the same thing, but I actually did kind of like the way they did it, where he was like, oh, I got to take care of a couple things. And then he goes up there, starts the water or whatever, and then it montages back to like when they were kids and they're doing like the blood pact. And I like the transition from where Bill had cut his hand with the glass to do the promise or whatever, and then when it cuts back, you know, he's already bleeding in the bathtub. But then they actually gave it some flavor by at the end him going, you know, him writing the letters to each of them saying that he did it for a purpose. He couldn't come back to be for the group to win. They had to be unified, and he knew he'd be the weak link. And if he said, no, I'm just not coming back, it might put doubt into the group. So he you know, committed suicide and made sure to write the letters and send them out beforehand. So it made sure his death was impactful. That and the fact that in the child scene where, cause I think it all leads up from the fact that he got attacked in the sewer when they were down there the first time. In the Tim Curry one, he just kind of got picked up from the group and walked like 3 feet over.
He got held against the wall.
Yeah, I mean, but he just kind of walked up to him, snatched him up, and walked him, like, he didn't even like run off with him. But in the remake, he had like that woman chewing on his face or whatever. That was a bit more traumatizing.
Yeah, but then that leads into where I think the new one uses too much CGI. Because I'm sorry, when we got to chapter 2, I wanted a spider. And instead I got a big CGI spider thing with Bill Skarsgård face on it.
I wanted the same. Well, okay, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Both the endings were bad.
Oh,
I don't know how the movie actually ends in the book, but I swear if it ends like either one of these endings, is by far the worst ending. I preferably enjoy just how campy the miniseries is, so I will give the miniseries.
Oh, tipping the spider over like a sleeping cow and just football punting its stomach over and over and over again, and then ripping its heart out.
Hey, give me 1 second, Jimmy. Can you guys hear me better now? They're saying my volume went down. I mean, I haven't touched the volume unless I was just moving back away from the mic.
I might have bumped something.
Oh, yeah. The ending to the miniseries was just ridiculous. And like I said, it's not a good ending, but it is much better than them just trash talking Pennywise into a deflated balloon
and then pulling its little heart out. Like, oh god, I did not like that ending at all.
It was just like, give me my heart. And they're just like, yeah, no, you big whiny baby. And then they squashed it.
It was just, I like that whole bit was just weird.
But once again, the Eddie death was handled way better. Because in the miniseries, he just got picked up by the spider thing and dropped?
He got crushed.
Yeah, I mean the insinuation is that he got crushed or broken ribs or something, but
But it was all done with practical effects.
it is done with practical effects. But you still, Jerry, what year was that?
I'm just saying, a
Did you ever
mini.
see
But
you ever see the thing? You ever
but
see the thing? That
you're
was practical.
you're right. It is practical. But this was made for TV.
Yeah, that is true. So a lot of stuff was dumbed down for it. was
It wasn't made for a movie. It was TV that
well,
got
and still,
con-
and it was
put.
kind of like a PG-13 movie at best. So they didn't really have. I mean, if it was gory, it was just because of blood.
So I see like why the Pennywise or the Tim Curry one lacks because of that very reason. I think the biggest problems with the Tim Curry one is solely based on the fact that it was written for TV.
Yeah, I think this one probably handles the thing better because it just has more time. But these two movies, I'm not just gonna sit down and watch for funsies. I can't sit here and just watch these for funsies.
But can you watch the Tim Curry one for funsies?
That's what I'm saying. I can sit down and watch the Tim Curry one for funsies because that is absolute cornballness to the T. If you want a campy, corny, I'd say a movie because it the way it was. It started off as a miniseries and then it was put together as a almost 3 hour long movie. And if you want something fun and corny to watch, that's the one you watch. This one is much serious, much more darker. The subject matter in it is much darker.
So here's a good one. How much dialogue did we say Pennywise had in the entire Tim Curry one? 20 minutes? Right? Hold on, we lost Jason. Well, while we wait on Jason, dude, I don't know what happened. He just kind of left us. I guess Pennywise got to him. The clown doesn't like us talking about him. But what I was saying is,
Hiya, Georgie.
oh, he's back. So the clown didn't get to keep you.
Just a little clown.
What happened?
I don't know. I was just sitting
I thought
there and we were talking. All of a sudden, your face froze, and
I thought Pennywise got you.
Oh, poor Jeremy. Does he not want to play no more?
So, you remember how we said Pennywise, Tim Curry had 20 minutes of dialogue in the whole It movie?
yes,
In the first chapter of It, Pennywise has a total of 4 minutes of dialogue in the entire movie.
say that again.
He had 4 minutes of dialogue in the entire film. So if you take every line that he says in the entire movie and put it next to each other, he has 4 minutes.
That is insane.
But there was another one. So in chapter 2, Bill Hader went to Bill Skarsgård and asked him what editing was done to achieve the effect of him. I don't know if you noticed, but like Pennywise's eyes would move in separate directions by themselves. Like one would go one way.
I mean, I've noticed that. I didn't notice them actually like moving on their own, but I did notice there's like a couple scenes. I'm like, he's got some sort of lazy eye thing. He had like a Tim Curry thing going on.
It's not.
There's like a couple scenes you see Tim Curry and his like one eye is kind of off a little bit, and you're like, what?
It's not a lazy eye.
Well, I think I heard this one. It's like Bill Skarsgård can actually
move it in 2 different directions, and scared the crap out of Bill Hader, because he was like, he asked him like what effect they did. He said, "Oh, you mean this?" And he did it in the full Pennywise makeup, and it said it scared him.
I think they had a lot of fun on this film. I know I read that when they were doing part one, anytime they would do a scene with, Bill Skarsgård and the kids or whatever, they'd shoot the scene and Bill would do his crazy stuff. And then right after they would say cut, he'd make sure all the kids were okay. Like, hey, and I'm pretty sure most of them at the time were like, yeah, we're not afraid of him or anything like that. But he was just always making sure that they were okay.
Well, I
Um,
know in this one, Bill actually made the comment that he enjoyed filming this one more, the second chapter, because in the first one, when filming the first chapter, he didn't get to be around the other actors because they wanted as little interactions between them as possible to help create the illusion of fear between the two and uncertainty.
yeah, that makes sense.
But he
I
said
mean,
he got to hang out with these actors a lot more. And apparently, Finn Wolfhard was the one who asked for Bill Hader to play the adult version of him. Never met each other. He just asked for it, and that's who they gave.
and I know I think a lot of times they were working together, the kid actors and the adult versions, so that they could really match their personalities to each other. So they can make kind of like one unified character instead of, the kid taking one direction and the adult taking another. So that was an interesting idea. I am going to say that the way the kids nightmarish material is handled in the new movie is, in my opinion, better than the original.
You don't like Pennywise coming through the floor drain, Jason? In the shower?
What was Eddie afraid of in that one? A shower?
Yeah, he's afraid of
Public showers?
the germs that are in a public shower when people are showering together.
I like that leper in the new one.
Again, though, I
That
like the Eddie in the new one over the old one anyway.
that that second half of that movie though, chapter 2, that went bonkers.
A lot.
It went like sideways fast. It was weird. I may have to go back and rewatch it because I know I was catching bits and pieces of it for most of it, but
It
that movie was weird.
I just felt like there were too many parts that drug on too long. And I am mad. I am mad that we did not get a
Beverly and Clown Pants.
Beverly and Clown Pants.
I want Beverly and Pennywise Pants.
And I'm mad that I did not get Bill riding down a busy street on a bicycle down a big hill.
They did not reference that bike at all. I mean, there was like scenes when
There was no montage. There was no bro montage.
yeah, where Mike and Bill are playing around with old Silver, the bike.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, oh man. The I'm trying to think. I know a lot of scenes were, in my opinion, probably done a little bit better in the remake. I keep calling it a remake. The new one,
Because it's a remake.
the Beverly scene.
Oh, with the tendrils that come out
Yeah,
and just
because
profuse blood out of it like it's Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street.
yeah, yeah. It's in my opinion, it's probably a little much, but it is a whole lot more disturbing than a red balloon being inflated in a sink and then just exploding or popping with blood. That was it.
Yeah,
That was it.
I can see that.
That was it.
I did like the use of Georgie more too in the newer ones.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it is that Pennywise was acting on the fears of all the kids, and Bill's was the loss of Georgie. And he played that note as much times as he could. He would even bring back like a reanimated Georgie just to mess with him some more. And Richie was afraid of clowns.
I was not a fan though of the whole ritual thing.
The ritual thing, like the cutting of the hands.
No, not the blood pack in the end of the first movie. I'm talking about at this in the end of the second chapter. The whole set the square
Oh
thing.
yeah, with the mic and thing.
Where he drugged Bill to see it with his hallucinogens. I'll have to reread the book for this.
I'm about to start looking up some stuff on that.
Hey, don't spark notes it. Go read it.
Spark notes. I need it now, Jeremy. Remember we were talking about Pennywise being in all them other movies.
Yeah, we are not going down that hole again.
To that. Okay, yeah, whatever. But yeah, so I think a lot of the stuff in the newer movie was much more extreme than in the miniseries, but I do think they could have toned it back a little bit more. It did seem like it was a wild ride, but like I think we both discussed that part 2 was just too long. And I don't like talking about deflated Pennywise. Stupid.
It was very, very... It was a very poor way to end such an iconic setup with all of this stuff happening. Like, he's doing all of this stuff and looks great, scares them, and he gets the helium and air pulled from him.
Why? Because
literally,
he does feed on the fears, but you would think he would be a little bit tougher than going, "Oh, you're just a bully."
But here's the thing, like, even in the Tim Curry one, yeah, they stopped believing in him and weren't scared of him, but that didn't make the monster part any less, like, brutal.
There was no Pennywise in that spider.
Exactly, like, there wasn't none of this,
He was just a ugly alien spider.
And the deadlights were on his stomach.
Was on his stomach. And we didn't get the
the TV explosion.
No, we didn't get the scene where he catches who was the first one? It was it Bill? Or was it whoever? He caught someone in
Bill.
the deadlights. And then the next guy runs up, he's like, "Don't look at the light." Oh. And don't look at the ooh.
No.
I like how in the new one, Richie was the one who was caught in the deadlights. And it was almost instantaneous. It was like you don't get a chance to look away. It's like as soon as you're hit, it was just like it locked you in.
And he started floating.
Yes. Yeah, I did like how the newer cast, the adults, how they bonded a little bit better. It seemed like, I know we're gonna harp on it. I'm gonna keep harping on it. That miniseries just doesn't have enough time. They beat Pennywise and the movie's over. I mean, you get Bill riding into traffic with his wife, trying to reawaken her, but it's just like Stan's dead, Eddie's dead. Hey, Bill almost died, getting hit by that semi truck going downhill. But I like at the end of chapter 2, it really kind of tugs on the heartstring where it's like Eddie's dead, and Richie's having to deal with it. The entire group is dealing with it, but it looks like Richie's hitting it hardest.
Which is something I liked about this one a little bit over the other one. It seemed like they made it so Bill and Eddie, Richie and Stan were already friends, like good friends from the get-go. When in the other one, it just seemed like Richie and Stan just kind of joined into the group
Yeah, it seemed like because you didn't really see him hanging out that much, and then all of a sudden they just show up and they're like, "Yeah, we're part of the group now." It, in the original, you kind of get to see the group form one member at a time.
Now, I will say I liked Seth Green as Richie over Finn. I was not a big fan of Kid Richie in the
Okay,
new one.
let me
Bill Hader did great. I not a
let
fan
me
of Richie though as a child.
let me put this dog down, okay? I think what was it Finn Wolfhard Wolf Wolf
Finn Wolfhand, I believe it is. I have it right here.
oh well, when you're figuring that out,
Wolfhard.
Wolfhard.
Yeah.
Okay, as an actor, I don't have a problem with him. I've seen him in quite a couple things. I've seen him in this. I've seen, he's in Stranger Things, and he was also in the new Ghostbusters movie. I don't have a problem with him. This one, I think, did he do this one before Stranger Things, or at least mid Stranger Things?
It had
Yeah, I had to because he
it's
was
mid
young looking.
it's mid Stranger Things. This one came out in 2017.
Okay, so I don't have a problem with him as an actor. I didn't have a problem as Stan, or not Stan, Richie. Seth Green plays Richie as this goofy, tries too hard comedian character.
But that's what he is.
I know, yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying is that he plays him like this. He's trying to be funny. He'll come in there, throw his arm around your shoulder, and then give you this kind of goofy one-liner where you don't know whether to laugh or just roll your eyes. That's the charm of him, because he is trying, even when it's not funny. Finn, who plays, like I said, he can be funny. There's like little certain aspects of this movie, of this particular character, that is funny. But I was sitting there during chapter 1, and I was like, I hate him, because everything he was saying was just almost mean. I know it was kind of like the kids of the time, like they say these shocking things to be funny or poke fun at each other's moms and whatnot. But I was just like, please, shut up. If you say something about Eddie's mom one more time, about her feet or how fat she is or something, I am gonna have to reach to the screen and slap you. I cannot do this entire movie. Hey, you know what this? Oh my God, it's a sewer. It smells like your mom. Shut up, Richie. Just shut up.
They never
Go in the corner and just hush.
I realized something though. What was the one thing that they did not do in the new movie at all for him as a child?
I don't know what.
They did it in the original and it's in the book. The way to get him to stop was beep beep, Richie. They never once said it to Finn.
Right. That's right.
They never once.
Was that to get him to stop?
Yeah, that's it. That was the cue for him to stop to stop the whole practical joking and be serious.
Wow, I did not actually realize that was an actual thing. I thought it was just kind of a catchphrase for him.
No, it was a way. That's why they always say it, like when he's making a joke about something serious. They did say it once in chapter 2.
Yeah, Pennywise said it.
No, the group said it once, and it was when they first went back into the house as adults, or maybe it was the sewers, and Richie goes, I love what he did with the place. And Bev goes, beep, beep, Richie.
It's kind of, if you don't do it in the first movie, then it's kind of pointless in the second one because it's not established.
Exactly, but they never once said it in the first chapter.
But I do like the role reversal. See, when Richie was in the miniseries when Richie was the Seth Green Richie, he was trying too hard to be funny, even though he may not have been funny, right? He tried way too hard. He'd do little impersonations and blah blah blah. But when he got to be an adult, he was like famous. He was like a big time comedian. He was on talk shows and stuff like that. I love the fact that Finn's version of Richie was just almost this mean kind of kid who was trying too hard to be funny, but he was just being kind of malicious in my. And when he grew up, he was a terrible comedian. Like he was getting booed off stage and whatnot. I love that.
That
I
was
love the fact that, huh?
I yep. Now that you bring it up, that is pretty great.
It is kind of funny how he was just a kind of a failed comedian, and he did get funnier as the movie progressed because Bill Hader's just kind of a funny guy, but I like how they kind of changed up a lot of the character stuff. I mean, Bill was still a writer, but his wife hated him.
And his endings suck.
Oh my god.
You-
Oh my god! Like the wife in the miniseries was just like, oh, you have to leave. I'll leave with you. He's like, no.
And then
I need to
she
do this alone.
follows him.
Yeah, and he's like, no. You stay here, continue on with the movie. I'll be back as soon as I can. And then like a couple days later, she chases off after him. In this movie, I don't think she cares about him at all. I think she just married him for. I don't know. I don't know why she married, because she's just mean.
But
She's
Bev,
mean.
they kept the same for her. For adult Bev and both of them, she got this.
Yeah, she got the short end of the stick of it. Now, mind you, I think the one in the remake was a bit worse. That guy was, oh my god, that guy should have been shot. Oh Jesus! But
Hit him in the head with a lamp.
um,
Should have done a lot more than that.
yeah. Let's see here. Richie was the failed comedian. Eddie was still having. Oh, Eddie was
A risk analyst in the new one.
a risk analyst for a guy who has. What is it when you think you have a sickness?
Oh, he's a hypochondriac.
A hypochondriac. He thought everything was out to kill him. Well, that was his mom. His mom was a terrible lady. She just kept feeding him this information that he was sick, like everything was gonna kill him. And yeah, so he was a risk. And what was he in the miniseries?
I don't even remember.
I don't think they explained. I think he was living with his mom still.
He
And
was.
they're just like, oh, you need to come back. He's like, well, Mom, I have to go.
No, in this one he
And-
was married and
Yeah, his mom was dead. His mom had passed. And yeah, he was
living in New York.
living in New York.
A risk analyst who's a hypochondriac living in New York City.
Ben was an architect in the original.
He was an architect in both.
Oh, was he an architect? I must have missed that.
He was just doing it via Zoom.
Doing it via Zoom. Yeah, and Mike.
Worked at the library, both of them.
Yeah.
Except in this one, he lived at the library.
Which I don't think you can actually do. I think you have to leave the property. Unless he might own the library. If he owns the library, it'd be different.
He was like living in the attic.
Now, when they all meet up together, they have the dinner scene. Yay, dinner scene. Whoop, whoop.
Okay, so I'll take this one. All right, so there's okay. So I liked the fortune cookies of the Tim Curry one, just because it's all practical,
Yes.
and it's more based off of their fears, of what they're afraid of. But I love the ending to the dinner scene in this new one, where it's just Mike bashing this table with a chair, and the server walks in and goes, "Is everything okay?" And Richie's like, "Can we get the check, please?" And they're all just kind of staring.
That is. Like I said, when I saw, because we were trying to figure out what the fortune cookies were in like in the original, and I was looking it up and I saw pictures of what these things become, and I'm like, oh god, these are CGI. You get that little cockroach baby thing, little baby head on the little bug
Oh
body or whatever,
yeah.
that little weird flying thing, and then the eyeball. Except it wasn't just a fortune cookie that opened up, had an eye. It was like
Oh,
literally crawling out.
and then the one with a
That
bat wing in it.
Yeah, literally one of Richie's funniest lines was like, "Oh my god, this fortune cookie's looking at me," and it's like crawling across the table towards him. Um,
Bill Hader did have some really good one-liners in the second chapter.
I think it's the way he can deliver it.
I think so too. It's just
I think it's the way that he delivers it. I mean, you could have a scene that's written and you have a eyeball fortune cookie, and the guy goes, "The fortune cookie's looking at me," but it was the way he delivered it because it's just such a silly line. But he did have like the most like emotional role of the entire thing because like what I said, Eddie gets killed in the end, and he didn't even want to leave Eddie's body there. He was trying so hard to be like, no, but Eddie's fine. We just got to get him out, and you know. But
wow.
oh,
Seth Green was actually in the running to play adult Richie in this movie.
that would have been amazing. That would have been like a full circle type of thing. Have Seth Green come back and he'd be like short. Finn would have been like taller than him.
Apparently, Finn was filming the season 3 of Stranger Things at the same time as he was filming It Chapter 2.
Hmm.
He filmed It Chapter 2 during his off days of filming Stranger Things.
That is a busy schedule.
Oh, yeah.
That is a busy schedule. So, I mean, like overall, I think there was a lot of good points in the Bill Skarsgård version of it. I guess it's more of a time thing than anything. Trying to think, there was something specific I wanted to bring up. Maybe I'll pop back in there.
So,
We didn't have an inhaler scene in this one where everyone's like passing around the inhaler. Ooh, that's the thing. This the sewer.
I liked the sewer in the original.
You liked the sewer in the original? You didn't like it in the house?
I did not like it in the house.
Did they ever have a house in the book?
I don't remember.
I'm gonna have to go back and read the book because that's the big problem I'm having right now is that I can compare these two movies, but I can't compare them to the book because I don't know what happens in the book. I know there's some sort of turtle or something in the book. It's weird, but yeah, I actually, you know what? I kind of like the house. I kind of like the idea that the sewer systems ran up underneath Derry and it allowed him to kind of go wherever he pleased.
So here's the thing. So in the first It movie, 2017, Pennywise's suit is silver. But in the new one, it's a dark gray to show the 27 years that have aged between the two movies.
You think Pennywise ages?
No, the clothes did.
Well, I know the clothes did, but so he can't just go get new clothes? How's that work? I don't know either. Weird world of Pennywise. Pennywise, the dancing clown.
Oh, Eddie actually was a. I didn't remember. I didn't know this. I must have missed it in the book. Eddie was actually a limousine owner in the book.
Yeah, that's what he was in the original movie. I remember
That's
now.
right.
He was a limo driver. Was he a limo driver?
He
I thought
owned it.
like a limo. He owned a limo business. Yeah, because I remember something about him getting in one of the limousines or whatever, take him to the airport or something like that, and he owned the business. So yeah, it makes sense. I don't know why he's a risk analyst in the new one, just to kind of heighten it, but
Well,
So,
let's look at IMDb.
so Jeremy, which Pennywise did you like?
Oh, Tim Curry, duh. No, they both have their pros and their cons. Tim Curry's is definitely a sign of the times. His is a lot more comical, and you can see where he's using their basic minimalist fears against them
Yeah, I mean, it was like
instead of going super deep
public shower, blood, and here's the thing.
and Richie just wanting to be funny.
Well, actually, Richie in the child scene was a werewolf
But
that
I
we
mean,
saw in the movie.
in the adult version,
Yeah, I do like how that actually does get played into the fact that he just tells bad jokes to kind of scare him. And it's not just the fact that he's telling bad jokes because Richie's the only one who can see him. So Richie's already kind of freaking out, and but Pennywise is using bad jokes against him.
and he's
And
just constantly annoying him in the background with these bad jokes.
yeah,
Why he?
and that can be
Oh my god, I love that is my favorite scene in that movie, along with "Kiss Me, Fat Boy." We actually got a "Kiss Me, Fat Boy" in this one too, but it wasn't nowhere as good.
no, because it wasn't that kind of goofy charm. It was him trying to, be creepy.
It wasn't
And
Bev wearing clown pants.
no, I really would have really liked Bev in clown pants, but you don't get Bev in clown pants, which was by far the funniest thing I had ever seen.
Well,
But
like I said, I liked them both. They both have their ups and their downs. I don't think Bill Skarsgård would have worked in the Tim Curry one. I don't think Tim Curry would have worked in this one. I think, respectively,
oh God,
for the
if Tim Curry showed up in this one as Pennywise, they would have beat the snot out of him. They wouldn't even. The kids would have beat the snot out of him because he's not that creepy of a clown. So I mean, well,
it
my
just
sister would have a problem with him.
it both of them did well in their respective movies and for what they were going for.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with this Pennywise look.
It
I think
was
maybe.
it's actually closer to what Stephen King described in his novel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I think I got a picture here from the.
The only thing like that they really kept close to the book in the Tim Curry one was the orange pom poms down the front.
Mm, yeah, I mean, Tim Curry had kind of more of a Bozo the Clown look, but actually, this weird picture they have here of the Pennywise, I guess, from the novel. He's kind of got the orange spiky hair,
Yep.
like the Bill Skarsgård one. He's got a big red nose, like the Tim Curry one. He's got kind of the I mean, on Tim Curry's they're very very small, but Bill Skarsgård's got the full on stripes on the eyes,
Yeah.
which is seen on the novel one, and he's got the sharp teeth, kind of like what um
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry had. I mean, so overall, not really. He doesn't look so bad for his. Jesus, the guy's way old.
Tim Curry.
No, he is the eater of worlds and children.
Well, so IMDb gave It Chapter 1 a 7.3 out of 10 based on fan votes.
Okay, can you go back and see if we got the Tim Curry one? Did they do that in parts, or is it just like for the whole miniseries?
It's just for the whole miniseries, but I can pull it up.
Okay, what did no, he's just a stupid clown. He's a creepy clown.
Don't you want to know who's a creepy clown? Is he not real enough for you?
That was kind of like that was kind of a funny line there. I did kind of like that when the kids go into the house for the first time and he's kind of tormenting all of them and he's about to, I guess, get Eddie or whatever who broke his arm falling through the floor.
Oh yeah.
And and what is it? Bill's like, you're not real. None of this is real. And he turns around. He's like,
Oh, Bill, am I not real enough for you?
I was like, that is, yeah, that, nope, you're done. You're done, clown.
Favorite
And then he did that little jittery walk. He's like,
One of my
so,
favorite scenes in the new one is the doors with Richie and Eddie. He's screwing with us. He's screwing with us. It's got to be the very scary one.
oh no, because it did the exact same thing when they were a kid, and they picked the not so scary one, and it was like that child's torso in there, and they're like, "Ugh," and then they closed the door and went back in or whatever, and it was gone. But then as an adult, it gave them the same option, so they went to the very scary one, and it was, what was it? Was it
It's like some weird woman thing.
Oh, like, yeah, it's like the bottom half of the kid just came running out or whatever, and then they were like, "No, we're gonna go to the not so scary one," and
The
it was
Pomeranian.
that Pomeranian, and there's just that funny scene they were sitting there trying to talk to it or whatever, and
He's like, I know who you are. I know your tricks.
and then it just transformed. That is where the humor comes from, not Pennywise, but the actual like reaction to the situation, and of course it's then then it's Bill Hader just really playing into it. So, um, but yeah, then so that was pretty funny.
So, fans on IMDb gave it a 7.3 out of 10 on the first It, Chapter 1.
7.3 out of, okay.
It Chapter 2
Mhm.
got a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I would grade it about the same. Definitely, chapter 2 is a bit weaker. It does set up. I think the first one does a whole lot better because it does set up the entire thing, and like I said, it works really well. I think a lot of it does get a little bit too over the top gruesome. Like I said, in some situations, it's better to it's better not less the less is how's that phrase go?
Less is more.
Less is more. And I do think the Tim Curry one, dis, despite its limitations, despite the time that it has, it does play with the aspect of less is more. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes, and I think that's the problem with these movies. They're too extreme on both ends of the spectrum. Like I think, and you're gonna keep harping on me about it, but I know it's because it's a miniseries made for TV, so they can't show as much. And I think that does hurt it a little bit.
Yep.
But I think with this movie, they show too much. Sometimes you just need
Yeah.
a little bit of shadowing, a little bit of, we don't actually need to see Georgie's arm getting ripped off. We don't actually need to see him nomming on some other child. It's good for the shock value and the emotional attachment to it, but sometimes it's 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 like when we were at that panel at Pensacon, and the guy was talking about how you don't always have let the imagination do the work. Me and Jeremy sat in a horror novel panel. We learned some pretty good stuff in there. I was actually surprised.
So, the miniseries got a 6.8 out of 10.
Six. The miniseries got 6.8 out of 10. So they decided that wait, chapter 2 was like what, 6.5?
Yep.
That'll work. I can see it just kind of like that. Chapter 1, the miniseries, and then chapter 2. I can kind of see that nice little balance. They're still all three of them are relatively high, so it's not like one of them's dipped down under 4 or something like that. So, well, pretty positive.
Well, then let's go to the Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes.
All right, which one you want, the miniseries first?
Yeah, let's do the miniseries since we did that last episode.
All right, the miniseries on the tomato meter got a 68%.
68%. Got it.
Well, and I know we already discussed it in the last episode, so we won't go into detail. And then their audience score was 64%.
Okay, so it's about the same. About the same.
All right. It Chapter 1.
Okay, folks. We're talking about It's Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. So we're going to need 2 numbers from you guys.
Yep.
That's how
So
this works. 1 per movie. So give us your numbers.
we'll give you all a couple minutes to give us your numbers for it.
So Chapter 1, I'm going to go with we're doing critic wise. I think it's going to be probably a 73.
All right, and the audience?
They're thinking really, really hard.
Yeah, they are.
I think some of them had problems typing. Oh, we got a 78 for Chapter 1.
Do.
All right, let's go ahead, Jeremy.
All right. It Chapter 1 got an 8, certified fresh at an 86.
86. An 86?
Yep.
That's high.
Certified fresh.
All right.
Some of the critics, it sticks with you to haunt and influence your nightmares. It's well executed, marvelously acted, and has a few scary sequences. It also has just as many that are not, as well as a wobbly command of tone and trouble sustaining its own momentum.
All right.
It's like Pennywise is a being of its own, a blend of the Goonies and A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, it did have a little bit of. I know it focused a lot on the kids in this one. I mean, actually, in the first chapter, it was nothing but kids. There was no adult actors in it, or adult versions, because the miniseries was a lot of back and forth. It was like present day adult versions, and they'd flash back to the kids. This one, like the whole first movie, was the kids. And then this whole second movie was the adults with some kid flashbacks. To kind of tie it together.
All right, and the audience score, 84.
Okay, so both of them are really high. Interesting.
It Chapter 2. All right, everyone, we will give you a couple minutes. Y'all start talking about It Chapter 2.
I'm gonna go with a 70. Now that I know how high Chapter 1 is, I'm gonna go with a 70. What is it? I'm gonna go with 75.
75.
Dun, 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 dun,
I can take a 75.
Oh, jeez. Jesus, we got 85 and an 83. Why am I so low? What did you say, Jeremy?
I didn't say anything because I know what it is.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Never mind. So I said 75. You guys cannot think that the second chapter did.
I mean,
okay, Jeremy, just go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Just go. Just embarrass me right now.
It is not certified fresh. It is a 62.
Good night. That went downhill fast.
They said Chapter 2 was a 62.
I don't see that. I think it deserves to be a little bit higher.
Trimming
at
the adults'
least.
often soppy individual narratives to focus on their more interesting dynamic as a group might have mitigated some of the numbness that sets in from predictability.
Predictability. You got a book and a miniseries right before it. You're pretty much telling the same thing.
The result is a film with all of the unsettling power and visual elan of the kiddie-friendly Goosebumps series.
What? They just call this a Goosebumps book?
Yes, there are big
Whoa.
scares, but they're not real scares. In the end, what I come away with is a sense of being at a carnival fun fair. Attractions, bits, but too much, and you're tired and sick.
A lot of that probably stems from all the extra scenes and stuff that they have already in the movie. You really kind of don't need that much
Too many
extra,
things weigh the movie down and keep it from resonating like the first chapter, and too much time is squandered in the wrong places. I think that's a big part of it. I think they put too much time in this movie. I think it's just too long.
yeah, I mean, a lot of these scenes could have been cut out. But
Well,
then
that
again, I'm
blows.
but then again, I'm going back and thinking about the miniseries where they pretty much grew up, had dinner, killed the bully, and then proceed to go into the sewers, cow tip a spider, and rip it apart. I mean that was the finale. Oh, and we had a bromance with Bill, Mike, and the bike.
I'm about to say, you cannot forget about the bromance.
Oh man, hey Jeremy, what do you get when you get Bill and Mike together?
Poker.
What? No, you get Bill and Mike together. You get a bike.
That's a good
Beep
one.
beep, Jason. Beep beep.
I'm gonna start doing that to you on the podcast. I'm just gonna
Oh,
start going beep beep, Jason.
Yeah, if I start just rambling, you're just like beep beep, Jason. Okay, back it up. I'll stop now. But the audience is like beep beep, Jason. That's what I'm gonna start seeing that in the comments, in the chat. It's just gonna go beep beep, Jason. Be like, oh, okay, I guess it's time for me to stop.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give the miniseries?
The miniseries, I would honestly give like, I'd give like probably like a 76. Oh, see, beep beep, Jason.
I said a scale on 1 to 10. Like, you've
Oh,
gone
I
so
wasn't
far.
paying attention. I
You've
was
gone
looking at-
so far past 10.
That's
So,
how great it is.
I was about to
That's
say
how
it, man.
great it is.
Woo!
On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 7.
I agree with that too. I give it a 7.
Mm.
All right, It Chapter 1.
I'm gonna give that an 8.
I'm going to give it an 8.5.
I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
And It Chapter 2.
Chapter 2, I'm gonna give it a 7.
Actually, I take that back. I'm going to give the miniseries a 7.5. I'm going to give Chapter 2 a 7. I'm going to go 7.5, 8,
I
and
don't
7.
deal in halves. I deal in absolutes. Yeah, I think
Well, fine. If you're dealing in absolutes, then I give Chapter 2 a 7.23654.
I give it the number of pi.
A 3.
A continuous. No, I do think a 7 for the miniseries is fine. Yeah, like I said, it has a lot of flaws, but it is fun to watch. You could just put it in and watch it and have some drinks and who's it's and whatnots. I do think that chapter 1 outshines it because it's a horror movie. The miniseries doesn't feel like a true horror film.
I get that.
It's got some horror to it. It doesn't feel like a horror movie. Maybe like I said, it's probably because it's a TV series and they made it for a younger-ish audience.
TV 14.
But I think chapter 1 really brings the horror, and some of the stuff is just creepy. I mean, I am kind of a sick, twisted person because I can sit there and kind of laugh at it. like I said, I'm sitting there with my friend. We're watching it, and you see Pennywise in the swamp or whatever, and he's staring out, and then he lifts that kid's arm up that he was chewing on, and he starts waving it, hi, type of thing. And I sit there and start giggling. I'm like, that's actually kind of funny. It's really sick and twisted, but it's kind of funny. And yeah, but I do give chapter 2 a 7 because it's still really good with a lot of the actors, and it does build up on the intensity of the how powerful it is, but it does you know what? I'm gonna drop it to a 6 just because of the ending. I
God,
hate that ending.
that ending was terrible. If I had to
I
pick an ending, I would always pick the miniseries
the
over that
miniseries
one.
I hate
I hate them both.
I hate them both because you build Pennywise up to be this big evil, and he is supposed to be this most frightening, destructive piece of evil.
Eater of worlds and
He
children.
is literally the eater of worlds, and in the miniseries, he turns into a giant spider. I keep calling it cow tipping because that's literally what they do. They run up to him, grab him by like one side of his legs, lift him up, knock him over, and then they start ravaging into him like a zombie horde, just grabbing parts and ripping him out. And that's it. He's dead after that. It's done. But I hate it even more when they're just like, "Oh, we're not afraid of you," and then they start like just calling him names. So what you did was you guys became bullies yourselves.
Moral of the story is when you're fighting ultimate evil, become a bully.
Become evil.
And you will
be a bully and
fight fire with fire.
And just when he turns in this pathetic little baby form with this kind of flat head, just reach in and grab his little baby heart, rip it out, and as everyone puts their hands on his little baby heart, and he's just like, give me it, and it's like, no, and then they squish it. That ending was terrible.
Well,
But I will say that overall, this whole movie series is actually making me want to go out and read the book. So
I am going to reread
that's
it.
a positive.
Well, everybody, that's all the time we've got for tonight. It was a little bit longer, so we covered both of them. Next week, we are starting a new series, and it was Jason's choice.
New series.
And for some reason, I don't know why, he has decided to go the video game route. So here
Hey, it's still horror, so
it is.
Everyone gets. We're gonna be doing. We get all sorts of horror. We're gonna get comic book horror. I'm gonna get that in there. Dun.
So without further ado, we'd like to thank all y'all for coming out and hanging out. We'll see y'all next week, same time, same campfire. Y'all be safe out there. And we do have some good news coming. We're not going to say who it is yet, but we actually just got our first guest to come and join us. We don't know when we're doing it yet. We're still working out the logistics of it all. But we met him at Pensacon, and he said he will be joining us as a guest on here for an episode. So once we get all the logistics worked out, we will let y'all know. But we are super excited to be able to have
It's our
guest.
first guest star. Ooh, I wonder what he's gonna pick. It's gonna be amazing.
Well, without further ado, we will see y'all next week, and enjoy the trailer.
Honey, sometimes when you go to sleep, you go on a little walk, and sometimes you talk about a place.
I don't remember.
That's why we're gonna go there, so you can remember. Do you know what's going on here?
This place is completely cut off.
Only the Dark One opens and closes the door to Silent Hill.
Where is she? I'm trying to find my wife.
She looks exactly like Sharon.
Why? Rose, come on! Rose, hurry! It's coming!
What's happening?
Oh!
To find your daughter, you must face the darkness of hell.
It's okay, baby. Mommy's coming.